Tonight, the NFL draft starts, so let's talk about some of these top quarterbacks and the top landing spot for Shedeur Sanders. Anyone's guess at this point. Today, he's going to visit the Steelers, who currently have the 21st pick in this year's draft. The Steelers definitely in need of a quarterback. And you might have heard of the other guy that they have interest in. His name, Aaron Rodgers. Still all silent on that front. Damian Woody joining us now. Damian, would Shedeur be a good fit for the Steelers?
Yeah, I would say he would. And it's not because of anything schematically on the football field. It has more so to do with the organization of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think when more teams, more organizations break these young men when they come in the league than they actually build them up. And when you talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're still one of the blue chip franchises in the National Football League, primarily because of their head coach and Mike Tomlin. And so for me, when I look at Shedeur Sanders, it wouldn't be a bad thing for him to slide in the draft. Like, if you should do it, would you want to go to the New York Football Giants? Heck no. Like, with all the turmoil and everything that's surrounding an organization like the New York Football Giants, that's not a place that I would want to be to try to get my career started on the right path. But a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers, we know that they're waiting on Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, that situation has to play itself out. But if I'm Shedeur, if I step into the Pittsburgh Steelers situation, there would be no plan and be this quote-unquote savior type that a lot of these quarterbacks at the top of the draft are expected to be. You can come into a stable franchise and allow the organization, the players around them to help him, kind of as far as the process of getting going in the National Football League.
Yeah, I'm with you in terms of the stability that the Steelers provide and the fact that Shedeur can fit in with a team that's pretty much ready-made to make playoff runs as they do every year. They don't go below 500. Everybody knows that with Tomlin, and they have that structure. Here's where I would put a caveat to that. One thing that can destabilize a franchise is Aaron Rodgers. I do not want to put Aaron Rodgers and Shedeur Sanders together in that locker room because Aaron Rodgers is not known as the guy who's going to bring up a quarterback under his wing. And then if Aaron Rodgers starts playing like we saw with the Jets last season and Shedeur Sanders has everybody sort of screaming his name to come over there and take Aaron Rodgers' position, that creates volatility in a Steelers locker room that does not need volatility and does not, really thrive in that scenario no matter how good the coach is. I think Shedeur Sanders can be a good fit with that Steelers team, but it should be Shedeur and maybe a different veteran that he can play behind. But absolutely no way do you have Aaron Rodgers and the Sanders family sharing a spotlight in the same locker room.
Well, that other veteran that they have right now is Mason Rudolph. So if the season were to start today and he becomes a Pittsburgh Steeler, he'd be sitting behind Mason Rudolph for a little bit. But the interesting thing here is the Aaron Rodgers caveat in all of this. Like you point out, David, maybe he's waiting to see what they do with that 21st overall pick to decide whether he's going to go to the Steelers or maybe it's retirement at that point. It's just weird that what is today, April 10th, and he still hasn't made a decision. I don't know what he's waiting on. I'm sure that the Pittsburgh Steelers are probably thinking, hey, hurry up here because this could or it could not affect their plans at quarterback with the 21st pick or whatever they decide to do there. But certainly an interesting team to keep an eye on. He's visiting them today. We also know there's been a lot of interest between Shedeur Sanders and the New York Giants. So, David, a lot of people have been talking about this pairing for a while now, but through this offseason, they've added Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston. They also re-signed Tommy DeVito, too. If the Giants are sitting there at 3, and let's say Cam Ward goes 1, Abdul Carter goes 2, or Travis Hunter goes 2, and they have a decision between drafting Shedeur at quarterback or going with the other defensive player that hasn't been taken there yet. If you're the Giants, do you take Shedeur with the 3rd overall pick?
No, because the Giants don't really seem to be as hot on Shedeur as you would think for somebody that would want to draft him as high. But bump all of that noise. Here's what I'm talking about. I am a New Orleans Saints fan born in Lafayette, Louisiana. Come on down to Frenchman Street. Come on down to Bourbon Street, Shedeur. Come on down with a coach that knows how to make stars out of young quarterbacks. Come in there in that dome where it's easy and safe to throw the football with a team that is finally making its way down below cap hell. You can do it. Come on down to the Big Easy, Shedeur. Come on, Dion. I'll just take a little tour down to New Orleans. I can show you where the po' boys are. I can show you where all the good food is. Come on and be a quarterback for the New York Saints. New Orleans Saints, sorry. Not New York Saints, New Orleans Saints. Not the New York Giants, New Orleans Saints.
No, listen, You just heard me say the New York Giants doesn't make any sense for me. A couple reasons why. Number one, we heard the Giants, John Mara, the owner, saying at the end of the year press conference that his patience run out.
Yeah.
Like, it's either put up or shut up time for the whole regime for the Giants. So why in the world would a guy like Shedeur Sanders, why would you want to put a quarterback in that type of situation? And then number two, Courtney, you've seen this firsthand. Mm-hmm. In Chicago, how many times have the Chicago Bears have played mismatch as far as the regime and the quarterback?
Syncing up the time.
It never syncs up. And so if you're the Giants, that's the last thing you want to do is draft the quarterback. Then all of a sudden, your general manager and your head coach is out, bringing a whole new regime that doesn't. They didn't like the quarterback.
Is blank.
Pittsburgh. I think that D. Wood said earlier in the show, like, sliding in the draft isn't always bad. The situation matters a lot, and I think that's one of the better situations that does not have a quarterback. Assuming they get Aaron Rodgers, he'll get some time to develop a little bit, and while they build up that offensive line and that running attack, and he can take over in a couple of years with that defense that seems to always be good no matter who's there, with a coach that's stable and that you can trust. So I like that as a setup for Shedeur Sanders, and maybe also for the Steelers. They need a quarterback like that they can trust, that'll make good decisions. That's the thing that they've missed, is a quarterback that can consistently make good decisions and can stand in the pocket and take a hit, which is something that Shedeur Sanders definitely can do.
Let's live here for just a moment, because for most of the time we've heard about Shedeur going as one of the first three picks. If we're talking about the Steelers, then that means that's the 21st pick. That means he's had to slide here. First of all, is that a good fit for Shedeur Sanders, talking about going to Pittsburgh?
It's a very good fit. And for me, the best scouting advice you can hear is from Bill Belichick. Tell me what a guy can do, not what he can't do. He said that one day about Damian Woody a couple of decades ago. Tell me what he can do. But what we know Shedeur can do is he can throw an accurate pass. He's really good under pressure. And those things are going to translate to the NFL almost immediately. This is a win-now roster. I would sign a veteran. I would sign an Aaron Rodgers type and give Shedeur a year in the system to learn the NFL game. The Big 12 to the NFL is a big jump. But what Shedeur told me a couple weeks ago was he'd rather go to the best fit than go #1 overall. We don't hear that a lot from a quarterback, but guess what? I believe him. This could be a very good fit. I still like the Raiders as far as Geno being a bridge quarterback. I think that could be a better home for him, but I would love this Pittsburgh situation.
Oh, do you think sliding would be good for his career, Dane?
Absolutely, because you tend to see the better franchise, the more stable franchises in the back half of the first round. I mean, we cited a couple of examples when Kansas City went up to get Patrick Mahomes. When Baltimore Ravens traded up in the first round to get Lamar Jackson, you just clearly see, though, when you have those type of franchises, a stable head coach, ownership, those guys are able to put their best foot forward as far as establishing their career.
Neek, how do you explain then the Shedeur slide if there is going to be one on draft day?
Yeah, I know a lot of people want to point to the fact that it's his confidence or cockiness or something about his personality that's scaring off teams. I don't think that's it at all. I think that's just completely fabricated. No one in the NFL is afraid of people who are cocky. Everyone, except for the #1 overall pick, believes they should be drafted higher. And so I think Shedeur is the only difference between him and other players is maybe he's more outspoken about it. I think the slide is probably more a result of the measurables and the I guess, traits that he has. Like, he doesn't have a super strong arm. And